Welcome to Lesson 1.4, Identifying Your Personal Pressure Patterns. By now, we've reframed calm as a performance advantage, broken down the neuroscience of stress, and explored why high performers, especially leaders, feel pressure more intensely. But if stress is going to become something you can regulate, you first need to make it predictable. That means turning what feels random or emotional into a repeatable pattern, something you can spot early on, interrupt, and manage with precision. Most leaders wait too long to intervene in their own stress response. They only notice stress once it has impacted behavior, like tone, pacing, or decision quality. But the earlier you can identify the pattern, the more control you regain. It's the difference between reacting from overload or responding with composure. Mapping your personal stress patterns is the first move toward consistent self-regulation. Here's the truth. Stress is rarely random. It follows predictable patterns across 4 dimensions. Triggers: what kinds of situations activate your stress response? Physiology: how it shows up in your body. Cognition: how it shifts your thinking. And behavior: how it leaks into communication or decisions. These 4 layers make up your pressure profile, and when you learn to map them, stress becomes something you can anticipate and not just react to. Let's start with triggers, the specific type of situations that activate your nervous system. For example, many high performers get triggered by ambiguity with high stakes, public challenge to credibility, missed expectations under visibility, misalignment between accountability and authority. And then there are the internal triggers too, like fear of appearing unprepared, pressure to avoid failure, self-compassion with peers. And knowing your top 3 to 5 triggers makes it possible to spot stress coming before it even takes over. Next is physiology. Before you lose composure, your body gives you the signals. Everyone's pattern is different, but common ones include shallow or held breath, muscle tension in your jaw, neck, or shoulders, increased heart rate, restlessness or pacing, eye narrowing or clenched jaw. The goal here is not to judge these signs, but to notice them sooner, because physiology often reveals stress before your mind does. Now let's talk about how stress is affecting your thinking. Under pressure, your brain begins to distort perception. You might notice black and white thinking, over-focus on short-term risk, amplified worst-case scenario planning, rehearsing potential failures, and diminished empathy or nuance. These cognitive shifts aren't really character flaws. They're signs your prefrontal cortex is starting to disconnect. When you spot them early on, you can re-engage your strategic brain before that hijack is totally complete. Finally, we look at behavior. This is where stress becomes visible to others. Common behavioral shifts under pressure include speeding up unnecessarily, interrupting more, avoiding hard conversations, taking over instead of delegating, and using harsher or more clipped language. What matters here is this: these behaviors are most always unconscious. You're not intending to escalate, you're trying to stay in control, but the impact of your team is real. Awareness helps you shift from reaction to regulation before that impact occurs. Let's turn this into something useful. I want you to map your personal pressure patterns across these 4 dimensions as we covered. What kinds of moments activate your stress? Where does it show up in your body? How does your thinking shift? What changes in your leadership behavior? You'll find a downloadable worksheet for this inside the course materials. This goal isn't perfection, it's pattern recognition. Once you know your pattern, you can build a system to interpret it. When stress feels random, it owns you. When stress becomes mapped, you reclaim that leverage. You'll start to notice This is the moment where I usually speed up, or this is the kind of scenario where I tend to overown outcomes. This is a pattern, not a crisis. That's when composure becomes something you can actually build and not just hope for. So take a few moments to reflect. What's your first signal that stress is rising? Is it physical, mental, behavioral? How often do you catch it early versus notice that it came on after the fact? Write down your insights. You'll see this in future modules to design your own stress regulation system. Congratulations, you've completed Module 1, The Executive Mind. You've reframed calm as a performance advantage, explored how stress hijacks executive function, understood why high performers feel pressure more intensely, and now you've started mapping your own pressure system. In the next module, we'll take this a step further, breaking down real-world stress triggers, including ones that hide in plain sight. You'll start seeing your leadership stress points not as a character flaw, but as a designable system. I'll see you in Module 2.